and we went from Gabe winning 18 in a row to Spirit winning 9 out of 10. To me, that's bizarre because neither of them has fallen off, neither of them has retired, neither of them was 12 when they were losing, but then all of a sudden started winning. I think it's a really crazy, unique, weird, one-of-a-kind head-to-head history between these two.
Absolutely is, and we're going to get right on into it. Spawning as the red Terran in the northeast side for Team Mousesports, it is HeRoMaRinE.
The one that really matters here for Gabriel is he's going up against one that one could say is almost his nemesis at this point in the European scene, because it's not just MaxFax and Clem that stop him from winning the Big Game Weekly. It's also this man who just seems to have his number ever since we changed a thing or two about those Ravens. Our Polish Terran player representing Storm Gaming, Spirit.
Yeah, it's so, and like the reason why it's so strange is very often there can be like a passing of the baton that happens, but there's usually quite a bit of fighting in the middle, whereas this just went, it was like two kids on the seesaw, right? And one of them just gets way heavier than the other one all of a sudden. It's like, what the hell happened? And whether, I don't think it's HeRoMaRinE falling, maybe slipping a very slight bit, but I think the other people are just getting so damn good these days, because he was for a long time the gatekeeper, like the 4th best player in Europe, and he was kind of vying to try and contest for the top 3 slots, and sometimes did it. Granted, it wasn't super often, but now you have people like MaxPax that absolutely is in that top 4 section. You got Spirit that's absolutely vying for who is the 2nd best Terran in Europe. It's just crazy to see what's happening in Europe these days.
Yep, and it's also crazy in predictions of the fans, right? While people used to always side with Gabe, now if you ask a lot of just diehard StarCraft 2 viewers or fans who is the favorite in this series, a lot of people will say Spirit, and that's just crazy to think of. When a little over 2 years ago, Spirit won 18 series in a row. I want to point out, by the way, that neither of them has SCV scouted in Game 1, Ben, and I think this will be an interesting thing to keep track of. I am not unfamiliar with these two not scouting early on, yet both of them are absolutely molding if the other guy will drop a barracks on the other side of the map and win. Oh, such a gambler. He's so greedy, he's so crazy. It's like, well, they just don't scout. Like, I feel what I really love about Clem's TVT is that Clem has a similar approach to how poker players play certain hands, right? Where you don't want to be predictable. So sometimes you check, sometimes you raise. I think that Clem does this very nice in TVT. He'll SCV scout, he won't SCV scout, but it's hard to predict whether or not he will SCV scout. These two, way more often than not, just don't SCV scout.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first 2 Reapers of Gabe do show up here, but yeah, what you point out there is really key. And also with Gabe, like, he also doesn't very often proxy 2-racks, which I know has fallen out of the meta a bit more these days, but still, when that was a massive thing to be scared of in this matchup, you never had to be scared about it against Gabe, which also, when it comes to predictability, being able to get away with this low ground expansion, like Spirit's done here, like it was just a 1-gas expand. He's got away with it, and he's going to have a slight economic lead this game. Doesn't mean that Gabe is down and out or anything like that. It's just these little advantages and little know-it-alls with your opponent can absolutely get you little advantages like this one.
Yeah. The fact that Gabe sent 2 Reapers to the other side of the map this early, though, is already something he doesn't do in the vast majority of his TVTs. Like, I cannot tell you how many TVTs I've seen of Gabe where we are 7 minutes in, all of the upgrades are online, we're on triple base, and Gabe has not made it past the halfway point in this matchup. And the exact same goes for Spirit. So the fact that Gabe actually committed 2 units to go to the other side of the map to see what's up is already a bit more info than I think he has in many of the other TVTs we've seen from him in the past. We got to talk about that reacted factory as well, Ben, because this is a decent amount of Cyclones. 3 Cyclones are out, 2 more are in production. Spirit has absolutely zero clue that this is coming.
Absolutely zero clue. I mean, he does have 2 Cyclones of himself, takes one down immediately, taking the fire out of, or rather taking the wind out of the sails a little bit here, and they can outrage this bunker. But HeRoMaRinE definitely didn't want to be losing a unit that quickly here. And again, the bunker dealing a little bit of damage. I mean, not off to the best start here, HeRoMaRinE in Game 1.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade, right, in the Cyclones. And a lot of these SCVs are not mining. So in that way, you can say that at least he's making up a little bit for that tiny economic deficit that he found himself in. And I know it was a 1-for-1 trade and he also lost the Reaper, but Reapers start falling off. It's more Cyclones. I really thought he would quit. but it's more Cyclones, man. We have not just these 4 here, but there's 2 more on the other side of the map. And Spirit, I think, is really going to try to make some magic happen here. But, excuse me, Gabe, but I really wonder what kind of magic he's hoping for. The tank is sieged up. Yeah, 1 tank just kind of shuts this entire party down immediately.
Oh, there was a little bit of a turret harass, though, in the main base. So HeRoMaRinE not just doing the front assault there, does get a little bit of eco damage done in the back. But yeah, he's made a lot of Cyclones here. I know Cure is one of those players that's been experimenting with these Cyclone openers, and he is committing to Stim, by the way, after this. But these Cyclones, I don't feel that their staying power in the game. Like, I don't feel that they do anything from this point on. Like, yeah, they can cut out some drops here and there. Maybe they can be on the map a little bit, but as soon as Stim's online, as soon as tanks are online, they just lose a lot of their potential.
They're not getting any better, that's for sure. But at least they're going to give Gabe some confidence in knowing what's up. It's going to give him a lot of map vision. And I think he will just try to use them as a distraction maneuver over and over again, as he already has another Raven in the bottom right side. So maybe the idea is just keep Spirit occupied with Cyclones in his face. As Spirit, by the way, is also dropping other turrets on the other side of the map. Maybe worth taking a little look at that, as 4 SCVs went down and some lost mining time. Gabe's not going to be happy about that, because that was Gabe's plan, and now Spirit is doing his plan. And Spirit didn't make 8 Cyclones to accomplish that.
No, absolutely. That's a really big deal. I mean, Gabe doesn't have 1 tank on the field yet. Starting his first here, Spirit also got confirmation that it is going to be into bio. So, I mean, that Raven got a few things done with its time. And it's just 1 Raven on the other side.
Nothing.
Gabe did try and get a turret down, but tank well situated for Spirit.
Yeah, a bit weird that Gabe didn't try to at least get some value out of the Cyclones there right before. It would make more sense to do something with your Cyclones, at least show them, reveal them on the minimap, and then fly in that Raven. As Spirit, his Vikings, by the way, have taken out that Raven. I don't know if we caught it on camera or not, but however, I'm not really loving this start for Gabe, as Spirit is dropping another auto turret in the other side of the map. He's grabbing a few more SCVs. Ooh, this is not the start I think that Gabriel was looking for, Ben. 7 minutes into game 1, it may not seem that dramatic, but it kind of feels that all the little skirmishes go Spirit's way. And Spirit has done more with less, and that's never a good way to kick off your TVT.
No, absolutely not. And these Cyclones, they feel a bit like dead weight, to be honest. Like, obviously they're trying to get what they can, and might get a little Cyclone for its troubles here. Oh, might get those 2 Vikings as well. That's probably more than he was hoping for in this situation. Almost gets away with the Raven as well. The one advantage that HeRoMaRinE does have is the fact that he got his Stim so early, so the combat shield comes online, and then you can start being a little bit of a bully on the map, which it looks like he's getting himself geared and ready to go with that. So that's at least something that we can look at from Gabe's point of view that's going all right for him.
Yeah, but it's also 2 tanks for Gabe against 6 for Spirit, Ben. 6 tanks against 2, and that's obviously because Spirit did not use that factory to crank out all those Cyclones. And it's nice to have slightly quicker Stim and now have Combat Shield online, and you can maybe find some damage, but I have a hard time believing there will be a whole lot of openings against the strong defensive Terran player that Spirit is, when he's got 6 tanks and all they need to cover is 3 bases. Like, it seems that he should be fine, no?
Should be. The drop is coming in. Those turrets weren't ready in time, but Spirit, very quick to react here. He's got quite a lot of units, but again, that combat shield is going to help out in this fight. But yeah, those Ravens being utilized to great effect here to shut it down. But that, for HeRoMaRinE, does allow him to potentially use his Ravens in the fight. He does have 2 of them, and they've got lots of energy here, and it looks like he's posturing right for that.
Yeah, they've got interference matrix. Maybe there's an opening on the top side of that 3rd orbital of Spirit. If the tanks can ever get there, as Gabe is going to go for it. He steams forward. The Marines go for it. He drops a lot of interference matrices. Does he have enough Marines? The Vikings are going to land on the side of Spirit. Spirit feels that he needs to pull the SCVs, and I don't hate that call. Yeah, you may lose a couple, but at least you'll protect those tanks, right? And as long as those tanks stay alive, by the time that the interference matrix wears off, you'll be fine. And that man is absolutely fine.
That was quite chaotic. Like, those are 2 situations that could have gone way worse for Spirit. I don't think Gabe blundered it at all. He was utilizing a timing that he had, and he really did go for it. But Spirit holds on and hasn't suffered too much of a beating. But Gabe has mustered up a good 11 SCV advantage here and just still keeps a Raven alive as well, which can come in handy. The upgrade's really good for both of them as well.
He held on, Ben. You're making fun of me for not knowing how to say sword, and here he is. He's held on? What the hell is even that, Benny?
He's held on.
Yeah, held on, exactly. There's no S there.
Oh, sorry for having a little slip, but it's better than saying sword, mate. Come on.
There's nothing wrong with a sword with a W.
I know
mate.
English is hard, but sword? Did he swear at me, Kevin? No. Was he holding a sword? Yes, he was. All right, all right. Gabe, marching across the map here and really, really kicking into overdrive, I feel, with this aggression. But Spirit, he's not going to go down without a fight. He scans this army, but he's got a big army in the north as well. These guys are really...
Oh, that timing though, that timing of the Marines, and now Gabe is forced to run into all these tanks. This is gonna go so much better for Spirit than it will go for Gabe, because Gabe can't really do that much, I think, in the bottom side of the map, but he's getting obliterated by that single, well, double drop, but we didn't really start off with 16 Marines. This is just massive, and even though Gabe has the upgrade advantage, what can he really do? You simply cannot stim in 7-8 tanks and a planetary. This was an amazing move by Spirit.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit, he just looks like he's a bit faster, doesn't he? Like, just things are happening. He's defending well, he's attacking well, and he's been supply blocked at 172 for a little bit of time here, but when the engagements have gone this well for you, and he's blasted himself more than back into this game, and that tank count, 9 versus 4, that is scary, man.
Yep, and that all goes back to the beginning of the game. HeRoMaRinE knows that if these tanks siege up in range of the orbital, he's in trouble, so he's pulling the boys, but the boys get obliterated before they get anywhere near close. Interference matrix lands as well, and game one, honestly, Ben, it's more of the same that we've seen between these two over the last few months. It kind of feels it's all Spirit.
He's just big, man. Like, he really hasn't put a foot out of place this game. He's just been ready for the attacks, but it's been fairly flawless from him, honestly. And oh my god, pausing here as you're okay. I mean, you know, I've played a little bit of Dota recently, Kev, and a pause like this when you're, you know, there's only one reason that you do that. But I mean, no, I don't think it is really for that kind of reason. But I can tell you, if I was in Gabe's shoes, I'd be fuming right now.
Yes, because we also know that whenever you're winning a game, you're always like, oh, okay, no prob, don't worry, take your time. But Gabe is not saying a word right now, and I can't blame him, because I think he's seconds away from actually tapping out. This orbital may fall. If he doesn't lift it up soon, it's absolutely going to go down. I'm surprised Gabe always does such a good job, by the way, and that's not something I'm surprised by, that he still has 70 SCVs, right? Because it felt that he just lost a whole bunch. But Gabe is an SCV production monster. So in that regard, he's still looking good, but the army of Spirit is just so much better, and it's in a really good offensive spot. I'd be surprised if this game goes on for another minute. Yeah,
I've been in situations like this where it's been on the pause screen for myself, and it's been so bad for me that I'm just like, GG. Like, I GG out as the pause screen happens, you know. I know we've had moments in, like, GSL, doing his opponent pause for like 15 minutes. I think it was Trap or something, and then it's like it goes on for 5 seconds and Trap leaves. But yeah, here the game
orbital
resumes.
I
mean,
man, did you see how close it was?
Live here.
Yeah, that orbital was like a tank shot away from dying. There's another Marine run by in the fourth, by the way, I think behind the planetary fortress. It's not too many Marines, but it's enough to be annoying, and Gabe is going to be forced to pull those SCVs as well. Spirit is close to maxing out. HeRoMaRinE is trying to hang in there with 140 supply, but no longer mining of his third base.
No, I mean, this drop into the main, this gets scrappy. HeRoMaRinE will greet it with a big drop of his own, but those tanks on the low ground, they're going to have something to say about it. I mean, oh my goodness, it's just been chaos, hasn't it? As soon as Spirit was unleashed, he's been nothing but a beast, and now tanks in the main as well. Production's being shut down here.
Yeah, it's all over but the crying. That is what Mr. Bitter would say, and I think that's basically the phase of the game that we are at. Gabe is trying to keep it together, maybe hoping for an overextension of his opponent, where Spirit stays around a little bit longer or runs into tanks when he shouldn't. But if Spirit is known for one thing, I would say that it is that he's a very patient man, and I don't think he's going to do something silly. He's just going to keep utilizing the massive advantage that he has, and that is going to do it. After 13 minutes, it is the man from Poland, representing Storm Gaming, who takes the 1-0 lead. And I think it's not anything to truly panic over if you're Gabe, but the way it happened, Ben, it's gotta be a little bit unsettling, right? It just felt that Spirit didn't do a whole lot, but what he did, everything was worth it, everything was successful. I don't think he had one big misstep. Meanwhile, Gabe tried X, Y, Z, and very few things went his way, and I think that's the worst part about losing the game one the way he did.
No, I think you're absolutely right. Like, there's games where you can lose on build or you know something going awry, but this was Spirit doing a nice, neat build, doing it really well, and he weathered the storm that you threw at him, and that can be kind of unsettling, actually. Like, you start questioning yourself, and I know Gabe is a guy that streams a lot, and you know when things are going awry, you can really kind of sometimes it can be very much like, oh, unlucky and stuff, but here really much to blame it on. Just Spirit played really damn solid, and that's kind of the player that we looked forward to that happening a long ago with him. Like, oh, is he finally? And so far he's just been hitting his stride, like very much a mainstay for like top 8, top 6 in Europe these days.
Yeah, if he wins this one, then I think he makes another very strong case for himself to be the second best Terran in Europe. Of course, Clem is kind of in a league of its own at the moment, but that second place, it is close between these two. And for the longest time, we obviously thought it really does belong to Gabe. I mean, Gabe was top 4 at Katowice, such an epic run, but over the last 12 months, it really has been more Spirit than Gabe. It's obviously just the first game. There is no reason to panic just yet if you're a Gabe fan or if you love Gabe. But Gabe is going to have to bring something else, because it also just felt that Spirit was confident, man. Like, confidence is key, especially when you play against someone that you've played a million times. I think they have like 60 or so competitive series, so not quite a million, guys, but 60 competitive StarCraft 2 series is obviously a crazy amount. And to me, it just felt that Spirit was playing with a lot of confidence in Game 1, and wouldn't say that Gabe was looking shaky, but it just didn't quite add up.
A few things didn't look super solid from Big Gabe. And speaking of, spawning over in the bottom left-hand side, Alcyone, it is the Red Terran, it is HeRoMaRinE.
You sure it's not Hecate, Ben? I saw that.
I absolutely messed up with that one, Kev. I absolutely did.
It was a good intro. It made me chuckle, and that's all. That's more than most intros do, Benny. Top right side, we are looking at the main base of the man who has taken the 1-0 lead. The winner of this best of 5 makes it into the top 6 of Europe, and he's going for not 1, but 2 barracks. Psystorm Gaming's Spirit.
Is it barracks or is it barracks?
You tell me, Benny.
I have no idea. I just heard you say it. I don't know if it's like my inner self trying to get you back for me saying the map or whatever, but I felt it. I was like, barracks.
What do you mean you're trying to get me back? You already scored like 17 points on my behalf before I even entered the broadcast, Ben. Let me get one.
That's true. I'll let you. But you got to remember, Kev, before those 17 points, you've scored 100 throughout the year against me. I tune into your stream where you're talking about me and bloody elephants, you know? I can't go a stream of watching yours without you mentioning my name.
Yeah, sure, and I cannot watch you for it. Okay, enough. Let's move on, because it's not 1, but 2 Rex over here. 2 Reapers on the production tab for Spirit, and Gabe is dropping a low ground expand, Benny, and he hasn't scouted yet. He does not SCV scout very often, and I think this Reaper is gonna hop to the low ground, but then it's gonna almost turn around immediately. It doesn't go out that far. I am very concerned here for Gabe. It is a Reaper Reactor low ground CC. Is this worst case scenario, Benny?
It's almost worst case. It was also gas before barracks, which does mean your factory's up quite quickly, but the fact that he doesn't scout either, like Spirit's a man of extremes, right? And we talked about the fact that he doesn't scout, but this is absolutely lining up to be very nice for him. And oh my goodness, even putting, wow, this is almost like he knew exactly what his opponent was doing.
Yep, it does feel that Spirit read him like a book here. Maybe it's luck, maybe it's skill, or a combination of both. What we do know is that Gabe is in all sorts of trouble. Can he pull off a miracle here? Can he somehow kill one of the Reapers without losing his own Reaper? But one thing is for sure, this is going to hurt a lot. Spirit is going to get ahead of this opening, but I legit think he has potential to straight up win it.
He does. I mean, if he keeps that Reaper alive, or rather the SCV alive, and gets up this base, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I have not seen a bunker rush in TVT in quite some time, Kev. And what I'm seeing here, SV's, this is crazy, but it's absolutely the right play with what he's done.
This is disrespectful almost, man. Seeing the SCV attack the command center. Like, that is not right. If this was a ladder game, Gabe would be out of here. Gabe is forced to cancel that CC. He's gonna build it on the high ground, but he will be so incredibly far behind. Already a 4-worker deficit, and that orbital on the other side of the map is pretty much done. I mean, if Gabe would leave here, Ben, I would not be upset at all.
No, me neither. And he's going into double Cyclone again. Does manage to pick off that SV to stop it from repairing, and will be able to take down this bunker eventually, but Spirit's even going to make him work for this. And behind this, Spirit, he's up to his, taking his third CC. Spirit things, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I want to say maybe that opens the door for Gabe to get something done with all those Cyclones. Because Gabe does obviously have a quick starport, right? That's the one thing that he has. And if Spirit forgets about the fact that a medevac could be heading his way very early, but look at the Reaper movement. It seems that Spirit is going to maybe give himself the heads up that this is happening. I don't know if he caught a glimpse of it there or not. I kind of missed that, but...
I'm looking, he didn't quite catch a glimpse.
Okay. I mean, but Gabe just needs to do so much. He has to climb the Mount Everest over here with an elephant on his back, Benny. It's not the elephant carrying him up the Mount Everest. He's carrying one.
No, absolutely. I mean, this drop, it really does have a lot of work to do. And you get into this base, you're like, wait, is that your second CC? No, it's his third. And I mean, Spirit with some nice play here, just being in a good position, still gets a little bit of damage and gets out of there. I mean, at least it was something, right? It wasn't a total disaster.
No, exactly. If he also loses that medevac to the lock-ons, then Gabe will immediately leave. And as I said, I really think there are many scenarios where Gabe would have left this game with this start, but you don't do that in the players of the ESL Masters, and we don't want to see that either, right? This is so important. It's tournament live, on the line, in the lower bracket, and it's not just a big online tournament with a decent, very decent prize pool. It's, of course, has potentially implications on where you start at the DreamHack Masters Atlanta as well, or the ESL Summer Championships over at DreamHack Atlanta. So we want to see these guys fight till the bitter end, but make no mistake, Gabe knows that he is in a world of trouble.
Yeah, Gabe has to do some kind of desperate looking things from this point on, so it might look crazy, but just know that he has to do something. He has to catch Spirit off guard. He has to throw things at him. Maybe extreme things like third on location, maybe a fourth at the same time. Just something wild, because right now Spirit is worlds ahead here.
Yep, we're gonna have a Raven fly into the main base of Spirit, so maybe Gabe can find a few SCVs here to start. Oh my goodness.
Not even one.
Jeez Louise. Make it stop, Benny.
It's great from Spirit, though, isn't it? Like, he's looking flawless in this series. Like, absolutely flawless. Like, the first build in Game 1 was cool. This one as well took total advantage of what Gabe was doing. It's almost like he knew exactly what build Gabe was doing. And even if he didn't, just cool to divvy it up like this.
If you're running good, you're running good. And obviously that was the best case scenario for Spirit. He was hoping to find something among the lines of exactly what Gabe was doing. And unfortunately for Gabe, I mean, Gabe will look at it and be like, it's a dice roll, right? He gambled, he went for that build. There are many scenarios where that build doesn't do a whole lot for Spirit, and he actually ends up a bit behind. But if HeRoMaRinE goes a single Reaper, low ground CC into a reactor, that is about as good of a scenario as you're ever going to find if you open up 2 Rex Reaper yourself. It's a bit of a grim best of 5 so far. I still think it's never over between these two. I mean, that's just, I guess, the love that I have for Gabe. Maybe that's the history as well, that once upon a time, Gabe did do so damn good against Spirit for 18 series in a row, Ben. 18-0. It's not that, he won most of those. No, he legitimately won 18 or even 19 in a row. And we're not talking about something that happened in 2015. No, we're talking 2021, 2022, when these two guys battled against each other all the time. So it's never over, but it's just looking very dire for Gabe so far.
Yeah, I mean, Spirit's leveled up. He absolutely has. Like, you know, I often used to look at him and I was like, man, that's so risky. Like, that's so risky. And he often used to beat players that could be perceived as better than him, but lose to a lot of players that were worse than him just because of how risky it was. But it feels like he's really honed it in on when to do it. Yep. And even against Clem, like, I think he fell 2-3 to him in something very big recently. I think it was the winner.
Hey, Cyclone.
Oh, that is not good. Everywhere we look, it's not going that well for Gabe.
He's winning this fight, though.
Yeah, he absolutely is winning that fight.
Hey, you gotta look at the bright side of life.
The bright side, mate. Depot, take this.
Yeah, that Depot never saw it coming. Didn't stand a chance, baby. It's good to get a point on the board, you know?
Absolutely is. You know, at this point, you take what you can get, right?
And if that means 2 Cyclones beating up a depot, we'll be all over it.
Those are the victories I take, Kevin. Those are the victories I take. All right. Let's have a look. See, supply's fairly close, but a little bit deceiving. I mean, Spirit has invested in 2-2 already, and his setup's very solid. He does have a higher tank count, but HeRoMaRinE with a higher Raven count. Actually, you know what? As grim as it looked very early on, Gabe is very good at getting himself out of tricky spots, isn't he?
Because he's a macro monster, but I think he kind of lost track of the main army though by chasing those Cyclones.
Oy.
Can Gabe hold here? He does drop an interference matrix on one of the Ravens, two of the Ravens even. I kind of like it. We do have two Reapers in the back of the main base of HeRoMaRinE, racking up a couple of SCV kills. I kind of like those matrices, right? Because that prevented Spirit from pulling the trigger and ending the game immediately.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, especially when you've got one extra Raven to burn as well. Gabe suffering from a bit of a supply block here, and it's a big one. 149, I mean, both of them supply blocked actually, but Spirit with a much higher supply, and he's the one that's sharking about. He's also bought space to get up a fourth base behind it all.
That Cyclone was like bugged for a while. I feel like it was already looking in the wrong way on the bottom right side of the map. Spirit is going to clean up those two Cyclones, and he's got potentially a tiny drop going for the natural, since he did hop in with the Reapers there. He saw there is a turret, but there's only one turret, right? And one medevac with a boost. You want to unload a couple of Marines or just fly past it. I don't think that would be a bad play. I think we're just waiting for those 2-2 upgrades to come online. And Gabe, there is still an army there.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The 2-2 very close to being done, along with that +1 for the tanks, and Spirit's
drop
army
is happening.
Huge.
Drop is happening, but Gabe did have a couple of Vikings popping. Unfortunately, missed that final shot, so he hasn't quite cleaned it up yet. Now needs to turn around, and that means that it's going to open the door for Spirit to potentially end this game at the third base. Here we go, anti-armor missile, couple of interference matrices, and just so many freaking Marines. There are still a couple of tanks here for Gabe, but the numbers are just overwhelmingly in favor of Spirit. His start was too good, and he was always going to end it.
I mean, Spirit's playing GG. He's playing some great StarCraft here, Kev. Like, nothing short of great. Like, the openings, I've loved them. I've loved what he's done with them as well. Hasn't stayed around for too long. Like, those 5 Reapers against that drop situation, it's like, did he see that coming? No, he just kind of thought, all right, I've dealt damage. Let's secure what I've got here. And just very nice to see. Like, I'm very curious how Gabe had a lead between them when I'm watching this kind of StarCraft between them, because right now, yeah, it's so damn obvious that Spirit's playing some next level StarCraft these days.
Yeah, and of course the Ravens have changed in this patch, and more importantly in that patch prior to that. That's when Spirit started to find some momentum in the head-to-head between these two. And yes, the Cyclones are different, but in the end of the day, you would still think like, if Gabe had his number so often, when often many ways, many roads lead to Marine Tank. Like, you can still play Marine Tank. Obviously, it's slightly different how you get there. The early game intricacies have changed a little bit, but it is definitely shocking. I mean, Spirit clearly got better. I don't think Gabe has truly fallen off, but maybe he's not as consistent and perhaps just not as confident as he once upon a time was, because I really do think that confidence is so important in TVT. It's not a matchup where you can second guess yourself. You just kind of have to go for a build. You have to make a couple of decisions in the dark. There will be some RNG, especially in the early game. And it just seems that every decision that Spirit makes, I mean, turns into gold. And Gabe, it just feels like he's getting a bit unlucky.
Maybe a little bit unlucky, but also, like, it's one of those times where it feels like Spirit has far more of a read on what HeRoMaRine's going to do in the games than HeRoMaRiNE has a read on Spirit, because he's so willing to be the sitter. And for a long time in TVT, like the era where Gabe was very strong and used to give Clem a real run was when you sit back, take your 2 Ravens, your 3 CCs, and you're absolutely right. There was less room to be crazy and creative, and like the early game shenanigans. The Cyclone changes definitely hurt Gabe a lot in this matchup, I feel. Third map, and what might be our final map today, spawning over in the top left with a 2-0 lead here on hard lead, it is Spirit.
In the bottom right side, we are looking at the main base of the man who's been representing Mouse Sports for all these years. It's do or die. He must win 3 games in a row, otherwise he will be eliminated from the ESL Winter Championships. This is HeRoMaRinE.
Yeah, those were some brutal engagements, actually. Like the 2-2 just finishing a Spirit push, like very nicely timed out there. Even though his whole army was orange from the anti-armor missile, didn't matter when he had so much more, did it?
Yeah, exactly. In Gabe's defense, like, I just don't see a world where he somehow takes a great fight. I think the only way, it was not up to Gabe to get back into that game. With the start that he had, it's really just not up to Gabe to get back into the game. It's up to Spirit, right? If Spirit fumbles the ball, then you have a chance. But Spirit needed to mess up multiple times for Gabe to have a chance. And if this was a smaller tournament, if this was a ladder game or, you know, game one of a tiny online tourney, HeRoMaRinE would just leave after that start because that's how far behind he was. He did his best, but in the end, Spirit did not fumble, and then Spirit just closed it out because he had way more of, honestly, everything.
And look how different they are this game, Kev. Like, we've been a lot about the sort of predictability, but both players, after not scouting for 2 games in a row, they're both opting to scout this time. Now, this is going to, you know, make Spirit feel pretty okay. He comes and spots this. He's like, oh, you're going for a double gas opener. I'm going for the low ground CC. But Gabe at least gets to buy some time and block it for a little bit here. Not too long. Spirit did just get to throw it down. But we finally have a game between these two where they're both very aware of what the first one is doing in the first couple of minutes.
Yep. Spirit apparently not afraid of the double gas opener from Gabe. Does not feel that Gabe can really do something about it. Probably counted SCV, sees the timing of everything. He's like, all right, I'm not worried about a second barracks or anything. What he will do is build a second Reaper, which I think is a very smart choice. Because going into... Actually, it's a Marine, excuse me. So it's Reaper Marine. But yeah, at least one more unit, right? So not your entire game relies on that first Reaper having to protect the low ground CC.
No, one of the worst things that can happen to you as a Terran when you do this is that a Reaper and an SCV turn up. Like, after you scout with it, it's already on the map, and then it's like, oh, damn. So this prevents that kind of situation. And Spirit, he likes this position. Like, we've seen him be aggressive in this matchup, but he's more than happy to play the defensive role as well. He's just becoming a Terran that's ticking all the boxes, all the right boxes. And Gabe does take the initial first shot here, and does get a little bit. This is the first great thing that's happened for him in this series.
killing an SCV at minute 3.
Yeah, it's the most fortunate start that he's had here. And if I'm a Gabe fan, I start thinking like, all right, Gabe, now you're the one that's starting off nicely.
Well, nicely. Like, I think he's got the tech advantage, right? Obviously his factory was online a bit quicker. He's gonna build once more, just like in game 1, a lot of cyclones, and he's got a tiny lead on the starport. But if you look at how far along that orbital is of Spirit in the natural, it's done. He can start spamming 2 mules at a time. You look at the base of Gabe, only now the command center finished up. So it's like, okay, he killed an SCV, but to say that this is an amazing start, I think that goes a bit far.
It's not amazing, but with how disastrous game 2 was, where you get your natural bunker rush, Kev, I mean, it's a little bit brighter, a little bit of a brighter future here. But Spirit is postured nice and safely. He's also getting a Viking early on here. That makes me think that he's kind of aware what kind of follow-up HeRoMaRiNE's doing. And even though the openings have been slightly different, HeRoMaRiNE's been very much about the reacted cyclones this series, hasn't he?
Imagine there's a world where Gabe snipes that first tank. That'd be so big. It's gonna be very difficult, but maybe the Reapers can like absorb a tank volley and then the medevac can get in range. Like, this is kind of a big moment immediately. Spirit's actually building a tech lab right now. Here is the Viking. The Viking gets locked on by the Cyclones, and the Cyclones kill the Viking. That's big.
It is big, and Depot doesn't fight back again. Nice. Would you class this as a nice little victory now? 375 resources lost to 0? I definitely would. And HeRoMaRiNE does have the map control as well, presence. And he's just being annoying, man. Wow, he's really committed to repairing that bunker.
Yep, he wanted to buy some time, I think, for the tank to safely make it to the low ground. That tank is here now, gets a shut off on the Cyclones, and that's gonna temper the aggression a little bit of Gabe. It's gonna make it a little harder for Gabe to continue being this in the face of Spirit. Apparently he's not giving up yet. Loads 2 Cyclones into that medevac, and he's gonna try to... He really wants those depots, man. He's like, those are the fights I'm winning.
I mean, when you're down and out, yeah, you take whatever you can get, man. You really do. But, I mean, this game, it's a far different game. Like, the pace that Gabe's showing, like, he's very willing now to be out on the map, and this has allowed him a lot of breathing room behind it. He's getting that third base online, Kev. Very similar working out. In fact, exactly the same between these two. Ravens online, and even though he went for the reacted Cyclones, he's got a far healthier tank count on the field. This is a far different game this time.
Yeah, no, I'd absolutely be completely okay with saying that. I think Gabe is ahead, but obviously Gabe was always supposed to find a couple victories. If you're building all these Cyclones, you know, they're not going to add a whole lot by the time that Stim is online and all the tanks are out. So this is kind of their moment to shine. So it's important for Gabe that he got some value out of them, but he absolutely did. He's going to be able to expand earlier. By far and away the best start out of the 3 games, but I think that says a little bit more about game 1 and game 2, especially game 2, than this one. Gabe being aggressive while the third is so much quicker is obviously tiny bit funny, but I don't hate it, because if you're the first one to siege up in a good spot, attacking into the other guy's tanks that are siege up is always annoying in TVT.
And honestly, having the I was going to say, having the Cyclones before Stim and Combat Shield already, they actually do pack quite a punch in these little skirmishes. Like, I'm a bit worried if Gabe does get just pounced on by Spirit, but still, this posturing here, being able to take out the SVs on the gas and stuff, has to be so careful though.
Ooh. Lost the Medevac, lost the Cyclone there as well. Don't lose that Raven, Gabriel. Ravens are expensive. The other turret goes down. I think that's the final bit of vision that HeRoMaRinE will have in the natural Spirit for now. And Spirit obviously went into the reacted Vikings quite a bit quicker. And that means that Gabe is going to have to go back. Gabe actually does have 4 Vikings. They're just still on his side of the map. He left a lot of units at home. Maybe tiny bit worried about a random drop or a Raven flying to his side of the map. Nothing like that happened. But it's nice to see Gabe check all the boxes.
Yeah, it's also lovely to see him retreat after losing the vision. He was just like, you know what? Done the damage, got the kills, I'm out of there. And he didn't lose much of anything, really, right? Lost a Cyclone, but it's like, that was an investment he made for the early game. He survived it, he's done the damage. And also the fact that he's kind of been aware of, hey, you don't have a third, I do. And look, he sees that the third's going down here, again, get some more damage. You can actually see this game why he went for this Cyclone opening. It's actually done a world of good for him.
I'm kind of sad even that Gabe is not just building that 4th CC on location. Because I think with everything that's happened in this game and the game sense that a man like HeRoMaRinE has, I kind of feel that he should know that Spirit is going to be mega defensive for the next 2-3 minutes, right? Because the upgrades are going to be a lot later. Spirit likes sitting back, period. And if you know you've got the entire map to yourself and your opponent is not going to be aggressive, why are we building a command center in our natural when we can just build it on the 4th?
Yeah, like to play devil's advocate, it could be like he knows he's got a lead, so extend it, but don't be kind of risky with it. I don't know, but he does have his 1-1 finishing up very quickly here, and Combat Shields is about to finish up too. If HeRoMaRinE was in his shoes, he'd be all in his face right now. Absolutely would. Tanks, let's have a look at the tank count between them. 7 versus 6. Similar Marine count, similar Viking count. Armies are looking quite similar, but the situations they find themselves in, this is definitely looking like HeRoMaRinE is the one that is capable of maybe bullying around Spirit in the middle of the map.
And Gabe's armory came online 20 seconds ago. I was just waiting for those upgrades. I was like, let's not give away that upgrade lead, especially not if you're down 0-2. And Gabe does fire them up, adding a few more barracks, adding that other factory as you mentioned. I think Gabe is fine, but with the amount of map vision he has, right? He's got both Zalnaga watchtowers. He's got some units still chilling in the top side of the map. I just feel then you want to take advantage of the fact that you're controlling 70-80% of the map. Spirit, he's not doing anything at the moment. So I think we could have been a bit further ahead than where we are getting. But it's obviously still been a mighty fine first 10 minutes for the man who's down 0-2. Needs to be careful though. It's a pretty large map, right? And if you stick around with this army for a while, Spirit with defender's advantage and the immediate reinforcements could take a great fight against that little army of Gabe in the top right side.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, this game slowing down like this, I don't feel that this favors Gabe. Like, he has gone up to 2nd factory and 8 barracks, so he's playing the Beyond style. He really wants to go.
Quad drop. That's big. On top of the eBay as well, and Spirit had 2 medevacs full of units there, but the units are still inside of it. This is an amazing move by HeRoMaRinE. It's going to be so difficult for Spirit to deal with this, because keep an eye on the 3rd base of Spirit as well. Gabe's there with a big army, and he's going to go for all those tanks.
I mean, he can drop on them actually with those Vikings if he wants to, but, you know, they're fighting over in the natural here, and Spirit's lost a lot of SCVs, and he's continuing to lose a lot of SCVs, and right now, this army from Gabe is getting cleaned up, but it was value, and those Vikings land on all those tanks, cleaning them up. Gabe fighting back in true big Gabe form here.
Yeah, I think he could have done that a tiny bit earlier, right? But it's obviously still good enough because now he will open the door for some more tank plays. As Spirit loads up 3 medevacs full of units, he's going to send them around. I guess he wants to surround his army, but HeRoMaRinE's already here with reinforcements as well. So who's surrounding who? Who's trapping who? Those tanks do look a little bit exposed, though. That is a pretty good engagement by Spirit, but the reinforcements have arrived for Gabe. 1 tank sieging up in the back, getting 1 or 2 decent shots up. Excellent defense by Spirit, even though he lost a lot of SCVs in the entire process.
Yeah, I mean, he made good of a bad situation there. Don't get me wrong, it's still all good for Gabe, especially with the fact that he's been on 4 bases nicely behind this. But the fact that he launched that attack when he did, and he's finished his 2-2 now as well. And remember, he killed that +1 armor on the engineering bay. So best case scenario for Spirit, he survives, but he's still at an upgrade deficit here. And HeRoMaRinE is pumping out Marines out of all 8 of those barracks. All 8 of them have reactors on.
And this is a little bit of lady luck you look for sometimes in TVT, that you show up 4 seconds before that base is a planetary fortress. Gabe really wants it. Gabe gets it. He will lose the 2 medevacs and these Marines, but hey, taking out a planetary like that, and the doors are wide open in the 3rd, and that will be all C-Road for game number 3. 11 minutes of a completely different look in this TVT, as this time around it was all Gabe. And you know what, Ben? I was laughing a little bit when you were hyping up that SCV kill, but that's what kicked it all off, baby.
You know, sometimes you just look for any fortune that flies your way, don't you? And like the openings and stuff, they both scouted each other, and just Gabe doing something a little bit different. Like, it really allowed him to... You just saw it. He felt way more in control this game, as opposed to Spirit dictated play. As soon as he was the one getting dictated to, it was just totally different situation. Like, if Gabe can take anything from that game compared to the previous 2, the slightly different openings, or just being aware of what's happening, like getting that vision, getting that knowledge. Like, this is not a ladder game anymore. Like, you're playing a real guy that's had your number for quite a bit of time, and you used to have his number. Like, you got to start working with what's working for you. And right now it's kind of the knowledge and power, because he was very good about once he was in the driver's seat.
We are looking at the Battle.net chat, and Spirit has requested a 2-minute break. I'm smiling a little bit because this is becoming a bit of a classic. Spirit likes to take the breaks, and can't really blame the man for it. Obviously, these are very important series, and if you feel like you want to do X, Y, or Z, and you are allowed to take a break, if it is within the rules, yeah, I do think it's important as a player that you utilize that to your own advantage. I think Gabe, after that previous game, just wants to keep it going immediately. Like, let's go ahead and hop on into game 4. And he's gonna have to wait for a split moment, but that also gives him some time to relax, stay calm, lean back, and enjoy those 11 minutes of TVT that we just had, because it was a night and day difference compared to that first 2 games. The amount of vision that Gabe had, if you're in control of both Xel'Naga watchtowers, and you still have a couple of stray units in the right side of the map, top right side, it just feels so good. Playing mirror matches is scary and hard until you see 80% of the map. Then all of a sudden, it becomes very pleasant to play mirror.
Absolutely. And, you know, Spirit, I like the fact that he takes his time to think about things. He is a man that thinks, even about how he looks when he thinks. You know, a certain moment, I was sat with Kevin and Stefano, and Stefano might have said something like, "What are you doing walking around? Like, you look very confused." And Spirit, after thinking about it for 5 minutes, he then asks Stefano, "Would it be better if I sit down and look like this? Or..." He is a man that likes to think, Kevin.
Yeah, no, this had to do with the buffet when we were at the Gamers 8. And yeah, he walked into the room and just kind of stood there and he looked around, and Stefano just observed him. And then Spirit properly analyzed what he was doing before. And he's like, so do you think it's better if I just walk in with a plan? And we were all very confused. I was like, Piotr, you just do you, man. You do whatever makes you happy. But yeah, he really put some thought into it. I was like, it doesn't really matter, mate. You want to go ahead and attack some desserts, some cakes, some cookies, you do that. You want to sit down, that's also fine. Not something that I really broke my mind over, but it's all good. Spirit is ready for game 4. It's still tournament live on the line for Big Gabriel. Oceanborn, Ben, a map that screams proper macro to me, and also gives me the feeling that we're not going to SCV scout. Even though I think Gabe, I totally agree with you after your analysis of game 3, I think Gabe should SCV scout, because I really think that Gabe is good enough, even if it gives you that tiny disadvantage. Some people might wonder, why don't they just always scout? It's because you lose minerals, and greed is good in many scenarios of RTS, but obviously information is often worth those few minerals you lose early on.
Yeah, and getting right on into it. Spawning as the Red Terran over here in the bottom right. You know him. You love him. It is Big Gabe.
You wear him?
You wear him. if you wear him, you're going to be like 300 kilos heavier. It's a dense man.
In the top left side, we are looking at the main base of the man from Poland. He's still up 2-1. Can he break into the top 6 of Europe? It's already a magical run. Can he continue? Psystorm, gaming's spirit.
You know, sometimes they tell you advertising doesn't work, but man, that slogan, you love it, you wear it.
It's stuck.
It's
If someone tells me right now you love it, I'm like, you wear it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And they're like, what?
All right,
You know,
all right.
my favorite thing about that commercial, though, is the guy at the bus stop or whatever the hell he's doing. He's a gamer, Ben. I know that you're a gamer because you're just good at many different games. But that guy with his phone and a joystick on top of it, outside in public, I've gamed, but I've never gamed that hard. Like, that dude is a gamer.
Me neither. He's a risky at a bus stop. You never know what's going to happen. Like, actually, do you know who is a really big gamer? Like, he kind of puts me to shame. Like, whenever I see Wardy, that man with his tablet, or even Loco these days, these guys with their RuneScape, geez Louise.
Yeah, they like to multitask. No matter what you do, you can have a conversation with them and you think they're hanging at the edge or they're hanging to every single word that you tell them, but meanwhile they're just on their phone and playing some RuneScape and they're like, oh, picking up a new item. Wardy, as he's observing these games, is also playing RuneScape on the side. The grind is real.
Yeah, you know, often, or in fact, one time I remember it last season, I said something really big about max packs. I can't remember what it was, but I was getting really into it. And then all of a sudden I got this reply from Wardy, like after being silent.
Yeah, I remember.
He was like, yeah. And I was like, what? You didn't even listen? And of course, level 99 was incoming on RuneScape or something. Level 99 everything, of course.
Yeah, that was fun. I think you guys had a very long day, and I think Wardy was just kind of out of it at the end. And you went on this whole speech, and Wardy was just like, yeah. And you're like, that's all? And Wardy's like, oh, well, yeah, I guess. And Wardy, he said later, he's like, man, I was just so dead. It was such a long day. All right, so we're 3 minutes into game 4. HeRoMaRinE has scouted a little bit, Benny. Spirit has scouted up to what I'd like to call the 50-yard line. We're in the middle of the NFL season. So halfway, knows that he's not getting proxied, or at least knows some locations he's not getting proxied. Sometimes I'm a bit confused about these scouts because I'm like, what does this really tell you? That there's like no barracks in the center of the map? But what if it's a bit to the left or a bit to the right? But a lot of the high-level Terran players like to open up like this.
Yeah, it's kind of like in PvP as well, right? Like sometimes you'll scout the locations where it's like this is close enough for it not to really matter, and it's still to be kind of economic for you. Like it's not in a weird location, but yeah, right now HeRoMaRinE is also, he's going for the Cyclones again, but he did what we talked about, Kev. Like it really feels like he's kind of learning as the series goes on, which is great. He scouted with an SCV early on. He got to see, all right, we're playing the exact same game against each other here, and that so far has worked out well for HeRoMaRinE, and now he's going to be out on the map with the same kind of army that worked very well for him in Game 3, and that makes me, as a Gabe fan, because I am a Gabe fan, very happy for him.
In Game 3, he got that SCV though, Benny.
That's true. That was a massive... I mean, you know, Spirit gave him time to bask in the glory.
I absolutely love that. He knew that the lock-ons were coming, so he helps the Reaper out of the bunker. The Cyclone locks on the Reaper and he hops back into the bunker, but he still loses the Cyclone. So for all those compliments, I thought it was a very cute move though by Spirit. But yeah, he's now maybe struggling a little bit more than he was supposed to struggle. I like the attempts of still trying to get on top of that Cyclone. But yeah, really cool move with the Reaper there.
Yeah, but in fact, where's the... Gabe has a medevac, right, with this? Or... No, okay, he went for the Raven. I thought he was going for a medevac as well. I was like, this could actually be very, very chaotic. But now he has 4 Cyclones dealing a lot of damage to this bunker. And you see this little micro from them both. He knew that Cyclone was vulnerable, pops out. Really nice play out of both of them, honestly.
Yep, I'm gonna have a depot finishing up as well, so you don't have to worry about that supply block. Spirit has 2 very healthy Cyclones. Gabe knows about this. Gabe! Okay, he's gonna lose at least 1. Even an auto turret, by the way. If an auto turret would land near all those low HP Cyclones, that would have been problematic. Gabe dropping the 3rd CC on location pretty early on, realizing that obviously Spirit lost a little bit of economy by pulling all the SCVs off the middle line and repairing that bunker. Definitely feeling the pace that HeRoMaRinE is pushing, and it does feel that Gabe is playing with a lot of confidence now.
No, absolutely. And like taking the 3rd on location here, where you're the one that's, you know, kind of said, hey, I got a bit of map presence here. Let's see what you're cooking behind it as well with this Raven. I like what he's bringing now. I like it. It definitely sparks to me a bit more confidence from him. Ooh, nice.
Nice retarget.
Yeah, nice positioning there as well from Spirit.
Yep, I love that Gabe realized that he was never going to kill that Cyclone or whatever the hell it was shooting at, so he switched targets immediately and at least tried to get the SCV. Did not get it, but I like that he tried. It's the little things.
Gabe very quick to start up his +1/+1 this game as well. Like his stim also halfway done. It's not even began for Spirit this game. Very often when I watch Spirit against, let's say, a Clem, he's always the one that's starting those upgrades a lot faster, but feels like HeRoMaRiNE's taking a page out of his book here against him.
Yeah, in return though, what Spirit does get for that is that he has a tank out already and the second tank is in production. Meanwhile, Gabriel has 0 tanks, right? So it's a bit of a trade-off. You get the upgrades, I get the strong mech units. As we're gonna get a couple of Liberators in very early. 4 Cyclones of Spirit are gonna try to engage the 3 Cyclones of Gabriel. You think this is a good fight for Spirit because more Cyclones is better, but Gabe gets the best possible trade there. It's a 3 for 3.
Yeah, the double Liberator, super weird. Like, or when I say super weird, normally if I see double Liberator, it's very much a special thing when you're doing like a mech opening or something, and it can cause a ruckus in your opponent's base, and most likely just going to be used for harass here. And if they do go unnoticed, hey, they can absolutely get some damage done, but definitely a little unusual from Spirit.
Yeah, wasn't quite 3 for 3 because he lost a Cyclone earlier, but apparently counting is very hard, man. So
counting is hard, mate. At least, you know, at least you didn't say this map was like Site Delta or something.
Hey, Fairdragon made a great video on Twitter on how to pronounce these map names. I don't know if you saw it, but I recommend it.
Site Delta or something.
Yeah, Spanish pronunciation.
Actually, you know, he absolutely got me with that because I was like, oh, I'm actually curious. And then as soon as I hear the first one, I'm like, God damn it, he got me.
I knew enough after the first one. I was like, that's kind of, I guess, a funny video. Let's take a look. And then I was like, oh, Ravi, of course. I hated myself for even thinking that it was going to be serious for a split second. And, well, it's a funny one, guys. Just take a look at Fear Dragon, his Twitter. The 2 Liberators, man, are making their way towards the bottom side of the map. Spirit is wondering when is this the right moment to go for it. Apparently, that moment is not now, as he wants to keep them hidden for a bit. And I don't hate that, because there is absolutely nothing else happening, right? And it's just a bit unlikely that if you shift-click 2 Liberators 8 minutes into a game, that you're gonna kill a lot against a man like Gabe. You kind of want to show them in a moment where there is a battle happening elsewhere. Tiny bit concerned, by the way, that Gabe never started +2 armor, but I don't have to be concerned anymore because there it is.
No, you don't. Yeah, Gabe spotted that Liberator down at the south there with that depot, so he knows about that one, but he's got units situated in the main, the third, the natural. So very much prepared, and his 1-1 just finished up. He does have combat shields against no combat shields as well, and 3 Ravens. And he knows what armies he's up against.
Interference Matrix lands first on the side of Spirit, as Spirit is now going to try to go with that Liberator, but there's a missile turret and a Cyclone there, so I think that first Lib is going to die very quickly. The Raven can probably not do a whole lot. HeRoMaRiNE getting in range of some depots, of some refineries. Did both Liberators die already? The other one died too, I guess, to a Cyclone. So that's -2 Libs on the side of Spirit for, honestly, not a whole lot.
Not a lot at all. And HeRoMaRiNE, he's close to the production of his opponent, and he's like, you know what? Get out of there. He does it very smoothly, picks up all the tanks, and so far, didn't take damage back at home. Great game from Gabe. Look at the resources lost tab here as well, Kev. 2k versus 700.
Careful now, Ben. Careful.
Oh, 2k, 3k, 4k. Oh, didn't mess it up here. This was nice. They stayed the same.
That was a goated moment, mate. Probably my favorite moment of all 3 regions so far. I will never forget that. I loved it so much. All right, we're going to have a double drop. Spirit does have Ravens and Vikings there, by the way. That's 2 full medevacs of Marines. Hello, they're right next to each other. There is a little fight happening in the center of the map as well. That's crazy that the Vikings didn't kill that. Oh, it's a little missed opportunity there by Spirit, I think, Benny, because he definitely saw them on his minimap, and he could have cleaned this up a whole lot easier and quicker. Look at this awkward chase right now. I guess he at least gets the first one. And there's another big fight happening right now. His Interference Matrix is going to land on all 4 tanks. We're going to pull in all the reinforcements. Liberator's going to siege up. This TVT is just chaos, and it's all because of 2 medevacs that were literally waving at 4 Vikings and 2 Ravens.
Yeah, and Gabe definitely comes out very ahead from most of these engagements. Hey, 7 tanks now to 2. Still got a lot of Marines on the field. He's still got all his Ravens alive, as does Spirit, actually. And I'm actually impressed by Spirit, the fact that he's still alive after all of that happened, fighting without his Ravens and Vikings in that fight. But now Gabe solidifying his forces here. He's got a 4th on location, already a PF as well.
He throws down the scan.
Bigger than ever.
He throws down the scan and he seems very eager. We have an Interference Matrix or 2 still on the side of HeRoMaRinE, who's got those 2 upgrades. Now a tiny drop in the natural just to force Spirit to react to it. Maybe open the doors as Gabe is going to go for a little rotation. He's going to come in at the third one more time. Matrix is galore, but it just feels there is so much HeRoMaRinE and really not a whole lot of the men from Poland.
I mean, the flip has been switched, Kev. HeRoMaRinE is online, and GG. We have a tied-up series now, 2 apiece.
Okay, it's 11 minutes again, by the way. I think the previous game was exactly 11 minutes. This one as well. When Gabe SCV scouts, it turns out great things happen. Like, maybe we could have just started off with an SCV scout or 2.
We make fun, but he's definitely a player that, when he knows exactly what he's up against, like, he's playing very well when it comes down to this series. Rod Huset Station?
Yes, that's why I was like, wow. I did not expect this to be our final map. This could have been one of these moments where they both assumed that the other guy would veto it, right?
Yeah, it's like a game of veto chicken going on. And
yeah.
they end up
it's like, I'm not going to veto Rod Huset because I think my opponent will veto it, and I'm not going to veto it. And then in the end, they're like, one guy who had the final choice said, all right, damn it, and then we'll play it as our final map. Like, on a realistic, serious note, how many TVTs do you think that Gabe and Spirit have played on this map so far?
Very few. Very few. Like, the only thing I run into on this map is Protoss, honestly. Like, you know, and I played a good few games on the new patch, but I have no idea how you open in TBT on this. Like, no idea. There's also potential that you don't even open up a Reaper on this map just because of how weird it is. Like, jumping up into the main, the only way up is in through that natural. Like, there's a lot of viability for something that neither one of these players have ever saw.
This map is very large. We are used to some big maps in this day and age of StarCraft 2, but I feel this map is just the craziest of them all. There's a lot of wide open area as well in the center of the map. Of course, you've got gold, you've got a pocket expand. You think of all the things that make a map of StarCraft 2 a bit weird and unique, and this map checks the majority of these boxes. The only thing we don't have, Ben, and this really hurts me, is a very rich Vespian gas.
Oh, it doesn't actually have one of those?
No, it does not have
even a gold. Oh, it does have a gold base, though.
It has 2 gold bases.
I had one build that you would have been proud of. I had a guy like Proxy Tempest me on my gold base, which it was absolutely dirty. As soon as it happened to me, I thought of you, Kev. Anyway, spawning over in the top right-hand side as our Blue Terran, playing for Team Sysom Gaming. Spirit.
In the bottom left side, completely bringing it back in this best of 5. An amazing game 3, an amazing game 4 for the man that is representing mouse sports for over a decade already. The one, the only, Big Gabriel, HeRoMaRinE.
Really cool to see. Like, before this series, it's one of those matchups between these two where it's like, from it to go so one-sided one way to so one-sided the other way, but we even said it, like, Gabe's kind of been fighting back recently, like, kind of wrestling with the bull, if you will, and lovely to see it happen in a series in itself, where it's like, oh no, is he going to get 3-0'd by Spirit again in a very important game, or... But no, game 3 and 4, he's changed a few things up, and just a different player that we're seeing on the field.
He just looked dominant, he looked in control. He knew where he wanted to go, he knew where he needed to go, scouted early, is going to SCV scout once more, even on this very, very large map. But yeah, I don't hate it, especially because of how wide the openings can be, right? Like, if you don't scout at all and you just play defensively, but meanwhile your opponent goes command center first, something as crazy as that, or plays triple CC from the very beginning. Like, Gabe just needs to know what he's up against. And I like the fact that he is scouting. It seems that Spirit is checking with an SCV, but he's opening up Marine, not even a Reaper ban. You called it.
Yeah, it is one of the maps where there's no other way into your base besides this ramp. So this is definitely the kind of map where you can play very, very different. Like, it's wild, honestly. I don't know what both these players are going to do. Probably going to see like third CCs before starports, things like that. Very looking forward to it. But yeah, HeRoMaRinE, like, you know this as well as anybody else. Like if you're at the casino and you know it's been going bad for you, like you're losing a lot of cash, but then all of a sudden you start betting on 7 and it's coming in strong. That is HeRoMaRinE with his scouting, and it just keeps on winning for you. You keep on going with it, even if it's not your bread and butter, your normal. If it's working on that day, you just roll with it. And so far, yeah, for HeRoMaRinE, I just like the confidence he's been bringing.
Ooh, that Reaper, a tiny bit of trouble, but I guess the grenade will save us. 7 is Waddy's number, by the way, Ben. Waddy's is...
7's my number as well. I know you're an 8 fella.
Absolutely.
In fact, I can't remember all your numbers, but if I just say random ones going up to like 36, there's probably half of them, eh?
Yeah, but 8 is the one that stands out. This Reaper is in a tiny bit of trouble. Do you think it's maxed out on HP before it's forced to turn around and fight? I guess we can spam one more grenade. I like that grenade, but I still think that's a dead Reaper. But I guess with how large this map is, it shouldn't have too much of an impact on the rest of the game.
No, definitely not. Spirit is opting for that 3rd CC before the starport here, so it is about as greedy a build as you can do while still being fairly safe. And to be fair to him, did get that Reaper kill early on, so absolutely playing the map here is Spirit. And HeRoMaRinE, his build looks a lot more standard,
yeah.
But Rod, who's that? Is anything but standard?
So quick 3rd CC on the side of Spirit, where Gabe is going to make at least a couple of Cyclones. Does not have a reactor on that factory, right? So maybe it's just a Cyclone's going to drive, and then we open up with a medevac, and it's a mix between Marines. And I like the idea of still trying to put a little bit of pressure on your opponent, but yeah, Spirit is obviously going to have a little more time to get ready for this than he would have on any other map. We'll see how this one goes for Gabe, as he's temporarily supply blocked, but the depot is finishing up. When do you think he's dropping his own 3rd CC, though? Because that's a very big difference between these two build orders.
You know, I'd do it ASAP. I'm almost a little bit surprised that neither one of them went for it on the low ground next to the minerals you have to mine out here, because you can do it very, very easily, just making the float distance very clean, because you know that you're not really going to face too much besides the potential medevac, but you can see how they're both situated very, very safely here. I mean, TVT on this map, Kev, when was the last time you got to cast it or see it even?
It's the first time for me.
Yeah.
Legitimately the first time. At least in a high level. Maybe I saw it once in the opening round of a weekly between some plebs, but I really don't think it happened. Lock on the medevac, but the medevac is going to use its boost. No, I've seen a couple of Zerg games. I mean, we know that the Swarm host Nidus is pretty popular here. I've even seen a ZVZ or 2 on this map where they also go for Nidus or Quick Spies.
Oh, yeah, Serral Wayne.
Yeah, that was a Nidus build indeed. But I have not seen a single TVT yet on this map, and that makes it obviously very fun, very unique. It would normally immediately makes you say there's a good chance we'll see proper late game, right? Because we had some macro between these two, but in all 4 games, I'd say someone was pretty far ahead at the 10-minute mark if the game wasn't over yet. I think this is the one map that could give us that crazy late game TVT, where maybe one of them goes for the Viking and the Liberators and the other one goes for a Mass Raven, if that's still a thing. Like, I'm kind of excited to potentially see that. Maybe, Ben, tiny chance we'll even see a battle cruiser make an appearance.
Yeah, I mean, if Maro was in the mix, it's like, hell yeah, gonna get a few battle cruisers in the mix. Oh no, that medevac being shut down like that, that's actually fairly brutal. That was his one real scouting opportunity there. I know he has a Hellion outside the natural, but still, that was his one way to kind of keep his opponent pinned back a little bit. And we do know that Spirit was faster with his 3rd CC, though, given how both of them place their CCs, HeRoMaRinE is the one that does get to land is a little bit smoother, a little bit quicker over here. So, economically, we're in a very even game. Look at the upgrades, Kev. This is the first time everything's been neck and neck between them.
Yep. Well, there are still 4 Cyclones on Spirit's side. Spirit also has a couple of SCVs just chilling in his main. They're not doing anything. I find that funny to see, because obviously these guys are so amazing. But you have many players who will get obsessed immediately if they see that idle worker icon pop up. Like, Ben, I don't care if you're about to EMP my 17 High Templars. If I have an idle probe somewhere, I'm taking care of that bad boy, okay? He goes buy some minerals. I may get slaughtered in the fight because I'm not paying attention. And then it's funny to me that some of these pros can actually live with idle workers for a decent amount of time, especially if there's nothing else happening.
No, I'm absolutely... I know what you're on about. Like, anytime I see a Zerg with a drone that's carrying minerals or gas, and they just turn it into a building. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, that's money you'll never get back. I just think of Todd every time with his penny saved, his penny earned,
Cyclone at the Zelnaga Watchtower, by the way.
Oh, this could be
It's only one, yeah. It's only one. HeRoMaRinE is actually unloading already, so he's going to be able to stim. I'm loving it, man. A game 5 for all the marbles between these two excellent European Terrans. The winner can still dream about making it into the top 4 and obviously getting a lovely start in the ESL Winter Championships in Atlanta. For the loser, it all ends here. It's been, I think, you can say a good season for both of these, but in the end, we also kind of look at these two names, Ben, and we say, like, yeah, they are top 8 players in Europe. We expect them in the top 8. So if you lose at the first real moment where you're like, okay, now I'm maybe pushing a little bit further than what people think I'm going to go, it will still be disappointing for them to go out here.
Yeah, it can definitely hurt, but, if you're going to go out, going 2-3 against the other one here, both of these guys, I think they respect the other one a lot. Like, they have a long history, as you said. They've played a good 60, 70 series against one another, and it's been very back and forth for very different reasons and very different eras, but HeRoMaRinE looking to be aggressive here. Will get spotted by this depot, nicely placed by Spirit, and it does look like he has more than enough to just stop it from happening or dealing any damage.
With a couple of sensor towers coming online already, and I think we'll have a few more soon, it's going to be so hard for these guys to find openings. And I know it's early when it's 9 minutes into a game, and yeah, you've traded a couple blows here and there, but nobody has made a very serious attempt, I think, in trying to kill anything. I mean, look at what we're looking at. A couple of Marines stimming at the edge of a ramp, like, oh, can we fire some bullets at this Viking? Kind of a battle over vision at the moment, but anything else. When do we start seriously considering the extra starports already? When do we start planning for some proper late game scenarios?
Like, in my head, you start putting down the extra CCs pretty damn soon. Like, 4 base is pretty much a magic number for Terran in this matchup. That's when you can afford your 8 barracks, your 2 factories, and however many starports you want. But it's always a bit leery when you know your opponent's on the map and they can drop you. So Spirit is absolutely solidifying that weak spot, which is his 3rd base at this point, with a lot of towers. Probably going to put up an extra sensor tower over there. That's what I would do. When I start playing against a Terran that's on the map, I get very, very scared at how volatile it can be if they get in your main base. HeRoMaRinE with... In fact,
I don't think it's a great idea, Gabe. I do not think it is a great idea, but Gabe is going to go for it, and you got to applaud him that at least he's the man who's going to try to make something happen. I do like that he was leading the charge with the empty medevac. Center of the map, by the way, as we're going to stim forward, get on top of this army. A couple of tanks going to get picked off immediately. Sometimes mirror matches can be really brutal because you're the one who's trying to make a move. You actually open the door for your opponent to make the first move, right? Not a whole lot took place in these first 10 minutes, and the first time that Gabe is actually pulling the trigger and he's trying to make some magic happen, he gets punished for it immediately, does not find an opening. Now Spirit says, perhaps it's my turn. He's got all those tanks siege up already, has a proper drop in the back of the natural, but HeRoMaRinE does have a lot of Marines here and should be able to clean this up.
Yeah, I mean, nice posturing from Spirit here, but HeRoMaRinE very clean to tie it, or to clean it up, and he has this drop on the other side of the map, and depending on what Spirit has, he has a nice little force here to clean it up, but he has to pull the... Wow, this is not going very well for Spirit at all, actually. Is Gabe going to get things done?
Well, he's already getting stuff done, Ben. He cancelled the CC, he got a tank, he got a couple Vikings, he gets a few SCVs. In the end there, does get pushed back, but the medevacs is so powerful. Gabe is now wondering, is that army Spirit is not siege on the other side of the map? Spirit is not siege. He's gonna siege up now, but that is a little bit too late, and big Gabriel is swinging for the fences. And it seems that this series has just completely been turned on its head. First 2 games, it's all Spirit. Game 3, 4, and 5. It is starting to look like today belongs to Gabe. He's not there yet. It's still a large map, and ending games in TVT is hard, but he could very well do it in the near future, Benny.
I mean, HeRoMaRinE is looking Spirit dead in the face and saying, I'm the captain now. He is coming across the map with so many tanks. We've got 9 tanks over here against 3. But Spirit feels it's his time to go. But can he do it against this much Gabe? I don't know. The supplies are so close, but I just see so much red, so many siege tanks. I mean, Spirit's army just evaporated. And, oh my goodness, I think Gabe's done it. The reverse sweep is happening, Kev.
What a way to start off the European playoffs today here in the lower bracket. A reverse sweep potentially here in TVT between the two, well, two of the best 3 Terran players in Europe. I think that's something that almost everyone will agree upon. Spirit thought he saw an opening there, but I don't think there really was any. And looking at how that fight turned out, I think it's safe to say that that really wasn't it. It was always going to be difficult, right? Because Gabe will only get closer and closer to your planetaries. So Spirit perhaps thought, I should just go for it right now. This will be the best opportunity I have. But the best opportunity was not good enough. Spirit tried to make some magic happen on the other side of the map. It didn't go his way. He took damage at home. He got cleaned up on the other side of the map. And now it's Big Gabriel down 0-2, turning it around. Still maxed out in Game 5. Big Gabe is entering that top 6, Benny.
He absolutely is. One last hurrah for Spirit here, trying to clean up this army. And to be fair, he's not doing a bad job, especially with those SCVs being pulled. But look at that swarm of red. It's like ants marching across the map. And he tastes victory at this point. He's expanding behind it. Spirit trying to hold the top of this ramp here, but oh my goodness, he knows it as well at this point. It's just, you can't believe it after being 2-0 up.
Nope, especially not if you've done so well against this particular opponent over the last 6 to 9 months. But today, it seems like it belongs to Gabriel in the end, and Gabe has had a very long StarCraft 2 career. He even started off with some Warcraft 3 in his early days, but this has got to be one of the more satisfying wins that he has ever had in an online tournament. As Spirit is going to try one absolute last time, Benny, the final Hail Mary, but it is not going to go his way because Gabe is here, he's there, and he's everywhere he needs.